Hi, welcome to the U.S. Veterans Magazine. I'm so happy to be here with Brian Luther, the CEO of Military Veteran and Military Spouse for the Navy Mutual. We're so proud that you are also a top Milspouse employer for 2026. And we are here to know a little more about you and Navy Mutual and your program. So welcome.
Well, thank you very much for having me. It's an honor to be here and an honor to be recognized for the work that we do supporting our military families and spouses. So I
Outstanding.
appreciate it. Yes.
So why don't you tell us a little bit, about yourself and maybe your journey to Navy Mutual, and then we'd love to know a little bit more about Navy Mutual from its history and its mission.
Okay. So I'm a 34-year veteran with the Navy. I started out as an aviator. I flew the S-3. And then along the way, on my sea jobs, I decided I wanted to throw my hat in the ring for carrier command. So I ended up becoming a carrier CO for the George H.W. Bush, and I took her on the maiden deployment. And then I was a strike group commander for that. So I had a big operational career, operations officer for the Navy. My final job was the budget officer for the Navy. And so my shore job, I was a comptroller. And so I was all about money. And then when I was a young officer, I got taken advantage of by a company that used military people to sell, retired military people to sell the active duty, and so I didn't want people to suffer the same mistake that I did. So I became passionate about financial education and financial literacy throughout my career, and I really emphasized it because I saw many sailors join the Navy. Not to fail, but they made bad financial decisions, and then that had consequences that impacted their career. And so that got me noticed by Navy Mutual because one of their missions is financial education, and so I joined Navy Mutual as the strategy officer, and then threw my hat in the ring later on to become the CEO. And that worked out because we were aligned in our passions, because Navy Mutual was founded in the late 1800s when a naval officer fell overboard on a deployment, and there was no one to take care of the family, and because no one would insure military members at that time. And so a few of his classmates from the Naval Academy got together and they passed the hat to take care of the family and thought there's got to be a better way. And then a few years later, in 1879, Navy Mutual was formed to take care of military families, spouses, and their children. And we've been protecting families ever since.
Outstanding. And first, I want to say thank you for your service, but also thank you for taking what you learned and taking that passion to help others. And that's probably one of the reasons why not only Navy Mutual, but you've been successful in growing and sharing that passion to protect others. And I think that speaks volumes. And very appreciative. And to even be on this top Milspouse employer list isn't easy. A lot of companies make, this list or that list, but to also be a Milspouse employer, that takes some extra work too. And realizing the value, but also the challenges that Milspouses have to face. And there are also outstanding employees. And I just want to commend you for that and to ask you, what is the mission for Navy Mutual?
So our mission has evolved over time. We started out just as life insurance, passing the hat, and then we evolved into selling annuities. And those are both sides of the same coin. One protects you in case your life runs out before your money, and then the other protects you so that your money doesn't run out before your life. So we're focused on how to take care of families throughout their whole financial journey. And then we found the world has gotten more complex financially as time goes on. And so we created an education team so that people can get financial education, honest third-party brokers that we will give education from budgeting or reviews of policies
Excellent.
or anything, because we only do life insurance and annuities. So we're free to talk to anyone and educate them about anything else. And so one of the things I did when I came here is I became a chartered financial consultant and a retired income certified professional so that I could be informed in how I have conversations with people. And that's really what we're trying to do. Your financial life cycle, the journey, involves more than life insurance, but you have to make good decisions throughout your entire life. And so we want to help families, the spouses and the military members, both get that. And then we became the we're the first or oldest federally recognized veteran service organization because it's complex to work with the VA to get the benefits. So our elevator speech is the education you need, the insurance you want, and the benefits you earn. So we're there to help take care of families from the beginning to the end of their financial journey. So that's one way to help. And the other is because you're right, military spouses provide a tremendous insight to the journey. They too serve, even though they didn't raise their hand and take an oath. Day for day, they're serving on a deployment just like the member. And so when you have a military spouse working in the office, it can help people understand the demands of what's going on, how crazy a pre-deployment can be, and how things can get lost in the mix, or the excitement of things coming home when the families are back again. And then it's difficult for them to support the member and then be forced to move every couple of years. So any way that we can help support someone who enables the success of an active duty person, I think is a good thing for us to do. And it's a benefit for both us and the membership.
Again, I think by having that understanding of the military spouse, but even more so that you're not just about, providing these in life insurance, you want to take it a step further in that they understand the education so they know all the parameters and make sure you know your benefits. That way, when they include Navy Mutual, it's more of a secure feeling. It's more of an educational, but also a positive type of investment on their whole family life. So
Right.
I think that education is absolutely key. And I love the way that you provide that. And the fact that you value and understand the military spouse. What's your position on employing military spouses?
We love having military spouses. I think there's a level of dedication and work ethic when you're there with a military spouse, if for no other reason that they see what their spouses are going through, on active duty. And then my wife served in the military, and then she got out. She's a physician, and then she was a military spouse on that. And she told me she would much rather do another deployment than to be right. It's just there's just so much work, and
It is.
and so she made fun of me one time. Our neighborhood, it takes a village. I would go on deployment. Everybody would be so helpful for her. And then I'd come home and they'd go, okay, now you got your husband back. But they were way more helpful than I ever was. So, they manage time management. They understand crisis management. They get a certain amount of independence and self-sufficiency. If they didn't have it before, they certainly get it through just the life experiences that they gain. That makes them great employees, right? They have initiative, they have understanding, they want to learn to make things easy because they're always busy. So they're not really interested in doing things that take a long time. Tell me what I need to do. Tell me what needs to be done by what time or whatever, because I have a schedule that I am executing and I got to be home or I got to do this. And so they are driven, can-do people, and that makes for great employees.
Absolutely resilient. They're resourceful.
Right.
Yes. And they're persistent. I love that. You're absolutely right. Is there anything else, how else does the Navy Mutual support military spouses? Is there anything else that you'd like our readers to know about your company or any programs or anything that you have?
I think the one thing that I would take have the readers take away is that we were created by military people to take care of military people, and so our products are designed to take care of military people. And while I was serving active duty, I had a life insurance policy with another company, and then I got a phone call from someone from Navy Mutual and said, "Hey, I noticed you're not with us. We think you should be." It was a former boss of mine, and I took a look, and I had an aviation exclusion rider on my life insurance policy, which means if I had died in an aviation mishap, my family would have gotten nothing. Well, the whole point I had the life insurance policy was because I was a naval aviator and I wanted to protect them against the risk of me dying in an aviation mishap. And here, the one vehicle that I bought to protect my family excluded that protection from them. So that's, that reinforces that financial education. And so often people will try and sell by price, and we're very competitive on price as well. But you really have to understand what the protection that you're getting. And some companies are not, they don't have an understanding of what it serves in the military, and they will have a wartime exemption, or they'll have a diver exemption or an aviation. We don't put an exemption on military service because we were built to take care of military members, however they serve, wherever they serve. And so that's, I think, something that's very, very important. If you buy a policy to protect you and your family, make sure that it protects you in the operating environment that you will be deploying in. I think that's a crucial factor. And the last thing is, it is complex to understand the VA and the benefits. And every year we help more and more people. Last year, we helped over 390 military members get $11 million worth of benefits. Wow.
Excellent.
And if they didn't know, then they wouldn't have got it. And so that's $11 million just for last year, but that $11 million will continue year over year over year. So we're getting hundreds of millions of dollars of benefits to our members just because they didn't understand the process. And I have a couple of, one of them, in fact, is a military spouse, very passionate about taking care of families to make sure that the VA is giving these people the benefits that they earn. We're not trying to get somebody something for nothing. We're just trying to say they served honorably and they earned this. And so maybe they didn't know when they were applying, but they deserve it. And then we fight for them to get the benefits they earn. So those would be the two other things I would add about Navy Mutual.
Outstanding. So I just have two more questions. One, what does this recognition mean to you?
To me, the thing I like about it is often Navy Mutual is a well-kept secret. And, we're not the largest company, but I like to tell the staff we punch above our weight. And to know us is to love us. And so this is an opportunity for someone through the exposure that you provide, that we are here to take care of military members and their families and their spouses as a gainful employer. And then, having it all that feedback cycle, all to the benefit about the member. I tell the staff, everything we do, it's all about the member.
Oh, that's so special, Brian. I want to thank you for your time here. And my last question that I ask everybody, and I think you might have answered it, is, do you live by any motto? Is there anything that you put in maybe your signature or that you tell your team? Is it the one you just told me right now? Is there anything else? Would you mind repeating that again? Because I do like that.
I tell everybody that, we were created to take care of military members, and without them, there's no reason for us to be. So it's all about the member. And if you ever need a North Star or anything to help you make a decision, if it's to the benefit of the member, it's all about the member, then that's the right decision to make.
Oh, that's so wonderful. Thank you so much for all that you do for not only the military spouses, but to all veterans and active duty. Thank you for your time and your service. And I have no doubt that Navy Mutual will continue succeeding since it is a win-win for both the veteran and the company. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and thank you for the recognition for the work that our military
Absolutely.
spouses do. I appreciate
Outstanding.
that for that.